The prophecy of Fatima, without going into my background in this matter, the prophecy of Fatima is not a pleasant document to read. It's not pleasant news. It implies, it doesn't make any sense unless we accept that there will be, or that there is in progress, a wholesale apostasy amongst clerics and laity in the Catholic Church. That the institutional organization of the Roman Catholic Church, that is the organization of parishes, dioceses, archbishops and bishops and cardinals and the Roman bureaucracies and the chanceries throughout the world, unless that is totally disrupted and rendered null and void, the third secret makes no sense. And number two, the other salient characteristic about it is that it means intense suffering.
I don't know what the
believers.
I don't know what the third secret is, Father.
The third secret, Lucia, Sister Lucia, who's still alive, the only surviving child of the three Fatima children. She's 89 now. She lives in Coimbra, in the Carmelite convent in Spain. She was prevailed upon by her bishop to write down the third secret. Our Lady conveyed two secrets to the children. We know the first two, but the third secret, Lucia, since she was the only survivor, refused to tell anybody. And finally the bishop said, look, we're all getting on in age, sister, write it down, and we'll send it over to the Pope. And she said, well, it's not destined for the Pope, it's destined for the people. Well, the Pope will tell the people about it. So she wrote it down, and this is in the 30s, and then in the 50s it was conveyed over to Rome to Pius XII, Pope Pius XII, and Cardinal Ottaviani, who was the head of the Holy Office of that time. They put it away because Lucia said that it shouldn't be opened except by the Pope in 1960, because the thing would be clear then. So it was opened by John the 23rd in February 1960, and he proceeded to say that it wasn't true. It was unreliable. And the children didn't know what they were talking about. And Lucia didn't, because when she got this supposed secret from the Virgin, she was illiterate, and she was under 10 years old. So she couldn't know what she was talking about. And John XXIII, then in his opening speech at the Vatican Council on October 11, 1962, referred contemptuously to the three children as prophets of doom, and said, we today don't have anything to do with these prophets of doom, because we are in a different age. And so he suppressed the secret.
And it remains so today?
It remains so today. And it's Paul VI read it, Pope Paul VI, and did nothing about it. John Paul I read it and did nothing about it, but he only lived for 34 years as Pope. And John Paul II has read it twice and has done nothing about it. He has spoken about it in public, but he has done nothing about it. And that's the status of the secret today.
Do you know what it is?
Yes, but I'm under oath.
Do you consider it to be the ravings of a illiterate child?
No. It's a very exact description of what is now happening and apparently what is going to happen shortly, but in cold, hard terms. There's no exaggeration. There's no use of adjectives or adverbs or anything like that. It's a blanket statement, a very factual thing, stated baldly, with no adulteration, no flourishes, no purple patches.
In other words, they got exactly what they asked for.
Yeah, it's a frightening document. It's very frightening.
All right, bouncing back for a second to the
Yes.
third secret. Here's a fax from Bob in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. It's kind of rough. It says, Art, why would God give this prophecy, referring, of course, to the third secret, to a select few and instruct them not to give it to his people? It sounds to me that it is man who has decided to keep it a secret from the people and not God. Can there be any greater sin than this?
Well, whoever this man is, he's on target. The secret was meant for the people, not for the Pope, not for the bishops, not for the Holy Office. It was meant to be published in 1960 by explicit order, by the mandate of heaven. John the 23rd, God bless him and rest him, because he's with God now, in whatever form that is, he decided not to. He had his own reasons. We think, with all due respect and veneration, etc., 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 that he made a very bad mistake. And indeed, what probably your correspondent from Wisconsin doesn't realize, or perhaps he does, let me remind him, that in 1963, there was a second appearance, this time in Spain, in Garabandal. And the opening words of that revelation were, because my sons have not listened to my orders, my mandate, here's what's going to happen. And the message was very dire. It's a repetition of the third secret in brief form.
East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Father Malachi Martin. Hi.
Hi.
Where are you, sir?
This is Bob from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Hi, Bob.
Did you ever maybe make mention anywhere of a warning that's supposed to be given to mankind that came out of Garabandal that
Yes.
you just mentioned?
There is going to be, but it's not a warning, Bob.
No.
We have no word in English. It's avertissement in French, it's avertimiento in Spanish. It means the putting on notice.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sheriff putting up a notice on your front door saying, you haven't paid your rent for 3 months. If you don't pay it by the following month, you will be blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of it's a putting on notice.
All right, here we go. Just a couple of things I want to quickly read. One from a friend in Australia, Father,
Yes.
who says, I had a Jesuit priest tell me more of the third secret of Fatima years ago in Perth. He said, among other things, the last pope would be under control of Satan. Pope John fainted, thinking it might be him. We were interrupted before I could hear the rest. Any comment on that?
Yes. It sounds as if they were reading or being told the text of the third secret.
Oh, my.
It sounds like it, but it's sufficiently vague to make one hesitate.
Yes.
It sounds like it.
All right, and then just this one as well. This is from Dan in Davenport, Iowa. It says, I was told by an old Catholic priest while I was stationed in Asia in the late 70s that in the last days, nature will attack everything we have and know, and that all food will be gone. Starving will be so widespread that families will eat other members of their families, my God, just to stay alive. This madness will be so widespread there will be no place that will be safe and no place to hide until all the peoples who do not believe in God are dead. Then life can start anew.
No, that's not
Part of it.
It's not part of it.
But that first one...
Yes, it is. And there's a certain element in the second one which is